Hey, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I hope, oh crap. Trying to get some stuff to work over here. But I hope you guys are having a great day. Hello. Welcome to the Hawk Hustle Morning Show. Um, I can't believe I've been doing this for like almost 3 weeks now. We're going strong. So let me get everything situated. But yeah, so anybody else? Like I'm excited that it's Monday, but I'm also like tired. Is anybody else just tired? Like I'm just kind of exhausted. Um, and I think sometimes you get into these seasons where you're like growing and God is stretching you and you're like having to do new things and try new things and put yourself in new environments. And as you're in the process of being obedient, it's just like it's tiring. Like I haven't felt tired, and I think like I was talking about last week, like there's just seasons to your growth. And I'm like getting comfortable over here. Let me get my blanket situated. There's seasons to your growth, and there's like, just times and moments where you have to, you being obedient looks different. And even this morning, as I was reading, you guys, some of you guys know, well, let me start over. I know I'm moving slow today. I'm like super tired. But if you guys are new to me, my name is Jerisha Hawk. I am a high ticket sales coach, income strategist, creator of a premium program called Services That Sell. And I help coaches, consultants, and freelancers enroll high ticket clients consistently. And, I think it's just like when you're in these seasons where things are kind of comfortable, right? Like you're kind of doing what feels good, doing what your strengths and your capabilities and your skill set is like currently equipped to do. And then you start to see, you start to set out new goals and set out new plans, and like you're ready for your business to evolve into a new level and things. And then you really start to think about, okay, if I'm here and I want to get there, what's really required of me to make that happen? And this feeling of like discomfort creeps up, right? Like you start, you're over here scratching the back of your head. Like, I don't know if I really want to do that. This doesn't feel comfortable. Like I have to stretch myself or I have to start operating differently. I need to become a different person. And my actions need to look different than how they did before if I want to get to this new level. And that's kind of the season that I'm in right now. I'm definitely in a season of like stretching and growing, and it feels uncomfortable, and it's scary. I'm not sure what season you guys are in. Maybe you guys are in a season of comfort where like, you just got done being overly obedient and you just got done being fully stretched. And you're in a season of like, just feeling like, I did it. Things were okay. That type of thing. I'm definitely on the other end of this mountain, or the other side. Like I kind of, oh goodness, I didn't mean to flip that. It's kind of like I look at it like a bell curve almost. Like on one side, it's comfort, it's where you currently are. Things are kind of stable. Things are just kind of moving as is. And then when you get to the top of the curve, the top of the hill is the area of discomfort where you're being, technically where you're being called to. And then on the other end of that hill is comfort again. And like you're just kind of grateful and thankful and in that headspace. And I'm like at a point where I'm like moving halfway up the hill right now. Like I'm on the verge of discomfort, and I'm feeling it. And I think a lot of us probably experience that. Like I said, I think all of us experience it at different stages, but it's like learning, like it's really I'm always talking about how you have to shift your perspective and how your mindset has to evolve as you grow. As you grow as a person, as you grow in your business, like the larger levels of abundance that you want to experience and begin to experience is so much of being able to continue to experience that is internal work and like mind shifts and perspective changes, and you just evolving on a more like internal and emotional level and mental level, more so than like I need better tactics, I need savvier strategies. Like it's really not about that. Like you need to have the right strategy that you're using to move forward, but like 80% of the game is like the internal and what's going on in your headspace. And I think a lot of the time when we are, we set these ambitious goals, and I've been calling it like holy ambition. I've been not just trying to set the goals that I want for myself, but like really praying and asking God and make it clear, okay, what what new territory do you want me to conquer? Like, what goals do you want me to be setting? Like, I understand where I see myself being, but like, where do you see me going? And when you do ask God for that, be prepared. Be prepared, because 10 times out of 10, he sees something bigger for you than you can even imagine or envision for yourself, right? Like, when you ask God to expand your territory, I need you to like be ready for like war, be ready for battle. Mainly because like a lot of the time when I'm thinking in my mind, God, expand my territory, I'm only thinking to the boundaries of which I can even imagine, which is like that's like chump change. Like, that's like super small in comparison to what he has for me. And over the past few weeks, I have been praying very intentionally about trying to understand, okay, what does an expanded territory look like for me? Not based on what I believe it to be, but God, what based off of what you see it for me. And a young thug is feeling stretched, y'all. Like, a young thug is feeling stretched. And I keep flipping the screen. And it's because I am being stretched. It's because, like, you know, when you ask God for something and you plead to him for something and you go to him with a humble heart and whatever, like, just get ready. Like, be ready for what you're praying for. And that's the season I'm in right now. I think that's why I'm tired. Like, I think when I say tired, I'm not like sleepy. Like, I've been getting, 8 hours of rest every night. Like, I'm not sleepy, but my body is like, it's having to exert more energy in areas that used to be comfortable for me, right? Like, I'm exerting more energy and exerting more effort in a space that is stretching me and growing me and pulling me. And I don't even know what I'm like. I don't think I have a moral to the story right now. I think I guess there is like a point. I think the point is all of us experience discomfort. And a lot of the time, if your perspective is not in the right direction, you will view that discomfort as a bad thing. Like, a lot of the time people use like, oh, this doesn't feel good, red flag, or this feels scary, red flag, or I don't know, like, that makes me uncomfortable, red flag. And in actuality, none of those things are red flags. Like, the discomfort, the fear that does creep up, the overwhelm that you may start to be feeling that's in alignment with what, with the expanded territory, like, those are really good signs, because growth only takes place on the other side of those things. And honestly, if you're praying and you're asking God to expand your territory, to allow you to experience things at a greater level than what your current reality is, like, just know that discomfort comes with that. Like, and discomfort is on the edge of what your current comfort boundaries are. Like, the abundance is on the boundaries of what your current comfort level is. I think that's the right way to say it. So it's just a decision, right? Like, at that point, now that you know what's required, it's just a decision of, okay, do I want to stay where I'm at right now? Do I want to remain comfortable? Do I want to remain like in my sweet spot of what feels safe every day? Or do I want to truly experience the abundance that God has for me? And it's just a decision. And I think the beautiful thing that I'm learning in my journey with like developing my relationship with God and understanding who he is and understanding what my identity is in him is that he shows so much grace, and that like he's always there for you, and like he's always there loving you. But I think too, it's like, it's just a decision. Like, he gives us free will. Like, he could, force all of our, like, everything that he wants on us, like for us on us, but he doesn't. He allows us to choose. And that's why I'm such a big advocate of transparency being one of my core values. Because when I say transparency, I just mean being transparent in the sense of understanding what's required to get a specific result. And as I'm going through my spiritual journey now and like learning more about the word, and especially when it comes to like, okay, God, what does abundance look like on a holy ambition level? What are your desires for the territory that you really see me having? I'm starting to understand that like what's required for me to experience the abundance that God has for me is like, bruh, it's a lot of discomfort. It is radical faith. It is like extreme obedience. And I would also say like singular focus is something that's coming to mind a lot for me, that and I'm getting a lot of like reminders about how important it is for us to have singular focus. And singular focus, like I think it's like a multidimensional thing, like singular focus on making sure that we're not only focused on what we want in the flesh, but that we are focused on what he wants for us, and being able to connect like what's happening in the spiritual kingdom realm to what's happening here in the natural and in the flesh, and make, because a lot of the time it's like, okay, God, in the spirit, in the kingdom world, I'm ready for the abundance that you have for me. And then he's like, okay, this is what's required for you to achieve that on the natural world. And we like, nah, bruh, I ain't trying to do that, God. Like, you want me to be vulnerable? You want me to be transparent? You want me to move differently than I have been doing? You want me to invest differently in myself than I have been? Like, this is what's required for me to get there. I don't know if I want it in the natural. And it's I don't know. It's this tango for me. It's like, for me right now, it feels like a dance. That's what it feels like for me right now. Like, I'm with him, and then I'm like taking a step back, and then like he's leading me back forward. And right now I feel like I'm in a dance. Cause like I be ready, but then I'll be like, look, I don't know, man. I don't know. Where is it? Guys, I'm still on I'm still learning. Like one of my goals this year has been to understand what it means to be co-heirs with Christ. And I really want to learn to understand what it means, what my identity in Christ is, and what that actually means. So that's been one of my aims. That's like literally on my goal board. That's on my vision board this year, because even though I don't know, I just think it's a journey. I know for me, it's a journey. Like I'm still referencing the table of contents in the Bible, because I do not know I don't know where people's names are. I still be pronouncing people's names wrong. Like I'm still learning. But there's one scripture that I read, and I can't remember where it is. So if you're listening to this, pop in the comments if you do know what scripture this is. But where he's like saying, I believe, but help my disbelief. That is a constant prayer, because it's like, I believe that God has so much abundance for me. I believe that God has so much abundance for you. Like if you're listening to this right now, like God has so much in store for you. Like you have such an unlimited territory that's available to you. And then there's like heightened levels of abundance that he is just craving to give to you. But something is required of us before he gives it. One, we have to ask for it. Right? We have to ask for it. There's so many like things I think, like, why am I, like, if you're somebody right now who's like struggling in their business, or you're not generating the revenue that you want to be seeing consistently, it's like so many of the principles are parallel. Like if we want the blessing from God, the first thing we have to do is ask for it. And we have to ask him for it. Like, I think a lot of what I'm learning right now, a lot of it comes from, you have to ask for it. And then you have to be able to take a step of faith before he shows you the blessing. Like you have to be in motion before, like he's already making arrangements, but you have to be obedient. You have to move. And so much of that is true in business. Like you have to believe in your idea, and believe in the business, and believe in the service that you're selling so much that you're willing to go live and nobody show up, but you still show up and go live again tomorrow. That like you're working on your business and like doing what's required for you to lay a solid foundation before the money comes in. Like you have to show that act of faith and that act of obedience. And you have to ask for the sale. Like so many of us are like, well, I'm going to wait until I get a client before I go all in on my business. But it's like, if you never build the thing, if you never make the ask, like how are you ever going to get the client? Like, Jay, I don't want to sell my services. I'm going to just wait until, like, I was literally having a conversation with somebody about a week ago about this. And they were like, Jay, I'm going to just wait until I don't know if this business idea is going to work. So I'm going to wait until I get a client first. Like, I'm going to wait until I get the money first before I decide to like really commit and like invest in myself. And I was like, help me understand that, because like that's like Target saying, I'm going to wait for somebody to buy a really pretty journal before we open the store. Like before we build the store, somebody has to buy my product before I build the store. And I'm just like, but how is somebody ever going to buy the product or hire you as a service if your business isn't open? Like but that's just fear. Like that is fear saying so I think a lot of the time, so much of it is parallel. And even though I'm at a point now where I know how to sell, my business is more like fully supporting my lifestyle. My business is allowing me to support other families' lifestyles, meaning the people that I get to hire and that are on my team. But I still have that. Like I still feel that. Like as I'm looking at, okay, this is where we're at right now. These are the results we've been able to get right now. What would the next level look like? Like what would it look like for us to double our impact? What would it look like for us to triple the amount of people and the amount of students that we support? Like, what would it look like? What would it look like that instead of, we've been able to help about 150 students create and sell their first 4-figure service? What would it look like if we were helping 500 people create and sell and enroll high ticket clients? Like, what would that look like? What would it look like even beyond helping people build the necessary tools they need to replace their salary? What would it look like if we were helping 100 people make their first 100K? Like, and as I'm starting to think about, and that's just where my mind, like my capacity is. Cause I'm like, if we, one of my goals is to be able to give away $1 million by the time that I'm 30. Time is ticking. And I'm like, okay. And I had a huge, a vision, like a revelation a couple weeks ago where I'm like, okay, what if that goal is still true? But what if that $1 million isn't coming just through me? What if it's like, I'm just a vessel, I'm just a funnel where I'm teaching or I'm equipping other people to get the skills that they need so they can make the money to get to that $1 million. So what if it looked like we're helping like 1,000 people make $1,000 or helping, I feel like my math is off right now, but you get the point. What if I'm helping 100 people make $100,000? Like, what if that's the way for me to get there? And like that scared the crap out of me, because that means that we have to be operating, Team Hawk has to be operating, I have to be operating at a different level than what I'm currently operating. And that also means that there's just, I don't know, like, do you guys get what I'm saying though? And it's just like, I'm in that season 2 right now where it's like, I want to see the blessing before I'm willing to be obedient. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, this is just me being like 100% real. I'm like, can I just have the blessing before I do the work? Like, can I have the blessing before I have to be 1,000% obedient? Like, can I see, like, I can see it in my mind. It's just like, okay, now what's required for me to get there? Like that, like, it's just kind of scary. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's like, well, I know how to operate where I am right now. Like, I know how to handle 100 students in a year. Like, our processes are solid. Like, if you come in to services that sell, there's so much stuff that's running on clockwork. But like, if we were to expand the amount of students that we touch and really expand that ripple effect that we're able to have, that means we have to be different. That means our team has to be operating differently. That means I have to become a different leader. My focus has to evolve and has to shift. And deep sigh. Right? And I think like you're probably in a similar boat. Like, whatever that is for you, do you feel a calling on your life? Like, do you feel a calling for you to show up and operate at a higher capacity than you are right now? Like, pop in the comments, say yes or no. Do you feel that? Like, am I alone in this? Is this just me in this season? Like, do you feel this desire to say, you know what? I'm not going all in. I'm not giving my all. I know that there is more that I'm supposed to be experiencing. There's more that I'm supposed to be contributing, but there's like, but comma, ... right? And I know for me, like, I look at, I'm really big on creating an evidence list. So pull out your pen and paper. This is definitely something I recommend that you do. Anytime I'm at a point in my life where I'm feeling uncomfortable, where I'm feeling like, okay, I'm going up this hill, like going from comfort to discomfort. And I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, this is what's required of me. This is what I believe is required of me at the next level. This is where I need to be. And then I'm like, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. Like, that's too scary. That investment number is too big. Like, I can't move like that. I make an evidence list. And I literally will document, okay, where in my past have I been able to do this and have I been able to conquer? So like, for example, I definitely at a season right now where like intentional investments I really, really believe intentional investments need to be made for me to get to the next level. Meaning, the coaching program that I'm in right now ends in 2 or 3 months. So it's like, okay, where do I need to be making my next investment to make like, and who's going to be coaching me? I think receiving coaching and having support is a non-negotiable for me in my business. But the investment level, I feel like the larger you grow, the bigger the investments get, because the mistakes cost more the higher you grow, right? Like the mistakes cost more money. The mistakes cost more time. That quite frankly, for me, I like to hedge the bet. And it's like, I would rather set myself up for success and avoid like a costly, mistake by making sure that I have the right coaching and have the right support on my team. So I'm looking right now, okay, saying, what does the next level of mentorship that I need to receive look like? Who does that? It's not a matter of if I'm going to do it. Like, no matter what, I have to do it, right? Like, I really, really believe that you are selling yourself short if you do not have support in your corner. And a lot of the time people ask me, Jay, where do you find accountability? Where are you investing in people to invest in you? Like, I'm a really big believer that I want to have people around me that see bigger, like see a vision of my life and my potential greater than what I can see for myself. Like, I need people to pull me up to their level of belief. I don't want a bunch of people who are around me who just co-sign my ideas all the time or are shortcoming my ideas all the time. Like, I have big goals and big dreams and big aspirations. I need to be around people who also think abundantly and who think without like limits and who are able to say, you're playing yourself too small, add a 0 to that. You're selling yourself short. You need to add a couple more commas. Or like, I need people to call me out on my BS because I'm human. And like, as you're growing and stretching, you can't see your own blind spots, right? So like, I'm a really big fan of Grey's Anatomy. Do you guys watch Grey's Anatomy? Have you watched Grey's Anatomy? Let me know. But you guys may have heard of McDreamy, Derek. He's like the best surgeon at like the best brain surgeon at Grey's Anatomy. Like, he's a beast, right? But even him, even though he was the best surgeon in that hospital, when he got injured, you can't do surgery on yourself. You cannot do surgery on yourself. So even if you're the GOAT, okay, even if you're Kobe, even if you're McDreamy and you're Derek from Grey's Anatomy, you are the absolute best in your space and in your field, you still can't do surgery on yourself. I don't care how good you are. Like, ain't no way Derek is going to do brain surgery on himself, or he's going to do surgery on his bullet wound or whatever. So I think the same is true for you and your business. You can't do surgery on yourself. You can't see your blind spots. So it's so important for you to have a team around you, to have other experts around you. So I'm at a point right now where the coaching program that I'm in a mastermind and I'm in a coaching program. And I'm in like 2 or 3 levels of support at a time. At various stages throughout the year. At least that's what it's looked like for me so far over the past 2 years of being in business and I know a lot of time people were saying, well, I need to finish one program before I start another. And I'm a really big advocate on, if you've had that program or you've invested in a course and you've had that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months and you still haven't implemented all of it, there's a disconnect. There is a disconnect. That a lot of the time it's not just about finding the material. It's not just about, okay, this is what I need to learn. That's part of it. But the other part of it is you need to be learning from a teacher that you have alignment with. And I think this is I wish people talked about this aspect more, but that is such a critical component of your ability to be able to execute consistently. If you enroll in a program, you need to know yourself. You need to know the type of support that you need, and you need to know the type of support that you're willing to invest in. So 9 times out of 10, if you have more direct access to the creator of whatever program you're investing in, the price point will be higher. So sometimes your budget will dictate what is available to you, or will be a factor in regards to the type of support that might be available to you. But also the other caveat is you need to have a trusted source that you want to go learn the information from. So that's really important. So you need to know that they're capable of not just getting the results for themselves, but they're able to depart their brain and be able to teach it in a way where somebody else can get the result. That is huge. So this is why I'm a really big fan of making sure, like when you're looking for investments, whether it's a coach, a coaching program or whatever, do they have a framework? You do not want to just be hiring the personality behind the brand. You want to be investing in the process, their methodology, their framework they have been able to document. That is the most important thing. 9 times out of 10, I'd say for most people who are listening to this right now, that is the most important. That's a huge factor that you want to be considering when you're making investments. So you need to make sure that they have a proven process, they have a proven methodology, they have a proven framework, that when you hire them, you know this is what step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and when you implement these growth assignments or these things, this is the expected outcome and the expected result, and that's very clear and that's very plain. Okay. Second thing is, now that you know somebody who has a process that is trusted, that they get consistent results on, you need to make sure that you believe in the person that's doing the teaching, that you believe that your values align. Because I know for me, I made I don't want to call it a mistake, but it was an expensive lesson. Like it was a 5-figure investment, 5 figures, okay, 5 digits, a 5-figure investment. It was more than $10,000. And it was I don't know, about $11,000 or $12,000 lesson that I learned. Because I invested in somebody who was able to get results, who's got tremendous results for themselves. They've been able to package their process in a way that gets amazing results for other people. The disconnect was our core values were not aligned. The person that I had invested with, it was a group coaching program. The person that I had invested with, my core values did not align with theirs. And I think this is important, is they were able to grow their business very fast. They're able to help other people grow their business very fast. But how do I say this? Like the way in which they're growing their business, I did not want to replicate. Like, even though they were making a crap ton of money, like they were not living the lifestyle that I desired to have. Like, yeah, they were a multi-million-dollar business owner. In the same breath, they were working constantly. Laptops were never closed. Like, I could tell that they were exhausted. And it's like, you look at the light, like, it's like, yeah, I can show you how to grow, but you want to make sure that you're growing with somebody who also like is hopefully living the growing in a way that you want to grow. So that's another important caveat. Like, I'm really big, like a huge reason of why I started my business is because I want to be able to take 2, 3, 4 week vacations completely unplugged. You know, I'm able to do that in my business. I'm able to leave for 15 days or be traveling for an entire month, and my team knows how to maintain my business. I've been able to grow my business to that point where, in a way, it's really about understanding the way in which you want to grow. And then thirdly, you want to make sure that you invest with somebody where your values are aligned. Because if somebody's teaching you and saying, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and if you don't trust them, if you don't believe them, you're going to have a more challenging time of implementing what they've taught. So at least that's what I've learned through my experience. And I think those are important things for you to consider. But like, as I'm in this season, I'm trying to look at, okay, not if I'm going to invest in myself, not if I'm going to have coaching. I know that I am. It's just a matter of who am I going to be receiving that support from? So there's support from a coaching and a mastermind perspective, because that's just kind of where I'm at in my business. I'm not at a point. It'll probably be a coaching program, because I love group environments, mainly because like when you're investing in a process and not in a personality, there's so much more value that you're able to gain, because you're able to now leverage the other people who are in the community. You can see, okay, what's working for them, and be able to, you know, even though you guys may be implementing the same process, different people are going to have different perspectives on how they take that process. So it's really valuable for you to be able to learn from a cohort. So that's important for me right now in this season. So trying to identify where that investment is going to look like. Personally, trying to find a therapist. You know, that will be my only like one-on-one type of coach, I guess you can say, that I'll be having, that I can foresee me having in 2019, is like individually, where am I going to be getting that internal support from? And then team, like, you know, I have been really, my fiance said this the other day, like your team members should not be looked at as expenses. They are investments. So it's really looking at, okay, during this season in my business, things have changed. What are the responsibilities, and like, where do we need to be making more investments in our team members to be able to support the growth that we're anticipating to have? So those are all things. And it's like, though, every time I make an investment in myself, 9 times out of 10, it like when I make the investments that I know will have a huge transformation, they're scary. Like, they are scary, because normally the investment in like the price point is bigger every single time. Usually that's been my case. But like I said, make an evidence list. And I go back and look at, since I started my business, every time I have made an investment in myself, and every time I made those investments, those dollar amounts terrified me. Every single time my business grew, every single time. Because I'm willing to be a student. I'm willing to sit in that seat and pull out my notebook and take my notes and watch, if it's a video program or whatever, I'm willing to watch the video once to understand the concepts, second to be able to fully like grasp the concepts, and then third, I am a student. I will execute. Like, that is one thing about me. I don't care where I'm at, I will execute. So I think that's a really important factor. Like, sometimes people will make the investment or buy something and they think they're done. It's like, nah, boo-boo, this journey just started. Like, it's like going on a trip. Once you buy the flight, you have to buy the flight before you can get to the destination. You have to buy your plane ticket, which is like your cost of entry, before you get to wherever your destination is. And then once you buy your ticket, you have to pack. You have to get on the plane. Like, you need to get in motion. So, but every single time, and I had to make an evidence list, because as of right now, the options that I'm looking at for the programs that I want to invest in, that I really believe in, the instructors, I believe that we have aligned core values, and I really believe that there'll be individuals that can support me on getting to the next level. These are the biggest investments I've made in myself. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I am a young thug is I'm shaking a little bit. I'm a little scared for it. But then I'm like, Jay, you can feel these feelings, but like, let's back this up by fact, because what comes to mind, right? You're like, well, am I going to do the work? Is it going to work for me? Am I going to get the results? If I make this investment, is it going to flop? Like, all these things. And it's like, one, you're worried about not showing up. Like, Jay, when in your life have you not showed up for yourself? Go make an evidence list. When are all the times where you were in a situation where things weren't really like stable, or things were scary, and you showed up for yourself? I'm like, I've never not showed up for myself, especially when what's it called? The road meets the rubber. Like, I've always showed up for myself. So why do I think now is going to be something different? Why do I think now when I make the investment, I'm not going to show up? I'm not going to do the work, that it's not going to work for me? You have to shift your perspective and like find the evidence and I know for me, sometimes when I'm making really big changes in my life, I have to go back and look at where in my past, instead of me focusing on a made up story of what could happen, go focus on what's the reality. Like, where have I done this before? And make it to remind myself that I'm capable of this, right? To remind yourself that you're capable of this. So, go back and look at that evidence list. Like, I show up for myself. It's not that, will this work for me? You have to shift your perspective to say, I'm going to do the work until it works, no matter what. Like, that's a different commitment level. Are you willing to do the work until it works? Like, and you're not, sometimes I think, well, I'm going to be the special unicorn and it's going to work for everybody else, but it won't work for me. It's like, boo-boo, your situation is not that unique. Like, I'm not over here inventing the new Tesla. Like, nothing of what I'm doing is that unique. You are not a special unicorn. Sometimes we think that we are, but we're really not. Like, if this process and this methodology has worked for 10, 20, 100 people before you, why do you think that when you come in, it's not going to work for you? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm having to coach myself. The things I'm saying to you guys right now are like literally things I was telling myself this morning in my journal. Like, Jay, you are not a special unicorn. You will do the work until it works. It's not a matter of if this will work for you. It's just a matter of, you have to do the work until it works. And then it's like, well, if I make this investment, and what if it doesn't work? What if it flops? What if it's a downfall? And that's just part of business, man. Like you have to have a certain risk tolerance to be able to grow your own business. That's just the reality of it, because so much of what we do, or we have this vision, we have this idea, you have this desire to create this change, and you have to be willing to bet on yourself before somebody else even may see or understand the vision that you see. And I'm just like, okay. But then I'm like, okay, Jay, go back and look at your evidence list based off of every investment you've made in yourself, every program that you've bought, every coach that you've hired, every mastermind that you've joined. What happened when you made the investment? And like, I'll talk about, okay, this is what happened. This is how it made me feel. This is, these are the results I was able to get. And I will both do internal results and external results, because I think both are valuable. And part of it is just, you have to learn, like, it's just a learning process. And when you really start to shift your perspective on from being in a scarcity mindset, saying, if I spend this money, what happens if I can't get it back, to thinking of in an abundance mindset, looking at money as just a resource and not as a limited commodity, like your thinking will start to expand, and you will begin to move in a different way. So this is just like, when I say this is the real deal, this is what's happening at Hawk Hustle headquarters. Like, this is what's going through my mind. Like, this is where I'm at right now. And I can tell that I've grown so much, because a year ago, I wouldn't be coaching myself this way. Like, at all. Like, I wouldn't be having these types of conversations. Like, you need to give yourself time to just think, and you need to give yourself time to just process. And as you grow and as you learn, you'll start to learn how to coach yourself in situations to help make sure that you're making the best decisions for yourself, not just making the decision that feels safest, not just making the decision that keeps you comfortable, but making the decision that serves the future version of you, not just who you are today. So yeah, that's what's going on here. Thank you, Nia. She said, I'm great with the metaphors. Yeah, you guys are doing, like, absolutely know that God has something more for me to do. Yeah. So that's what I got, guys. That's what's really on my heart. That's just where I'm at. But I hope something of what I said today speaks to you and speaks to maybe where you're at right now in your season. And a lot of the things that I just said, that I'm like using the questions that I'm asking myself, doing my evidence list, really evaluating the things that I'm investing in, is like, if you need to, like, share this video with yourself on your timeline. Like, when you get to a point where you have to make these types of decisions and you need help with the thought process through that, this is literally what I'm doing. This is what's working for me. And feel free to, like, apply this to yourself, and because I look at it like this: if I knew everything I needed to know to be where I wanted to be, I would be there right now. Like, if I knew how to build a 7-figure business today, the business would be at 7 figures today. And even though I can conceptualize what may need to take place for me to get there, like, I can map it out, I can crunch the numbers. But a large part of it is not just how do I get there, who do I need to become to get there? And I'm currently, right now, I'm in the process of becoming that person. But that's why, it's so important to be able to evaluate yourself, saying, like, if you knew, like, people like, well, I know how to get there. I don't need no help. I don't need to be bringing nobody on my team. I'm good. Solo dolo, ride or die with myself. Like, bruh, all you're going to do is ride and die by yourself. Because if you knew what you needed to know, if you knew not just what you need to know logically, but if you knew how to become the person you need to become to experience the result that you want to have, you would already be there. You would already be there. And if you're not where you want to be, there's no shame in it. But it's just like, God put multiple millions and billions of people on this earth for a reason. He didn't give any of us we need each other. We have, and you investing in somebody else is investing in the kingdom ultimately. Because if they're being obedient to their calling, like, their purpose may be to fill whatever gap you have. And that's why you're investing in them. Like, you're investing in the kingdom. The kingdom is investing in you. Like, he built us to be in community. He built us to be dependent on each other. He built us to rely on each other. So like, what makes you think you're anything different? Like, you guys get what I'm saying? What makes you think you're anything different? That like, you're going to be able to get to the promised land just by yourself? Like, that's arrogance and ego. And it's just delusional because it's just not real. So it's like, look at your evidence list of where have you had, like, for you to get to where you are right now, what did you have to, and like, who did you need on your team to help you get there? If you have a job right now and maybe you went to school to get the degree to get that job, like, you've had dozens of mentors, dozens of coaches. Every one of your teachers was a shepherd along your journey, right? So it's just like, so much is paralleled for you in your business. So much of that is true for you in your business. Like, if you went, period, for you to be the citizen you are today, you've had a teacher since kindergarten. Every one of those teachers was a shepherd along your journey. The admissions person at the school was a shepherd along your journey. Like, your friends that you were able to develop relationships with, the coaches that you've worked with in sports or, you know, in athletics, like, all these things are just part of the process. So don't look at it as like, dang, I got to get this person my money. It's like, no, is this the right person that I need to be investing in? Are they being obedient to their calling? Like, that is just you investing in the kingdom. That's all it is. So like, I just don't sell yourself short, y'all. Don't be selling yourself a dream half off now. Like, keep it 100. If you don't keep it 100 with anybody else, keep it 100 with you. Just be real with you. Okay. You got to be real with you. So that's what I got. Feel free to share this video on your timeline or on your story. Like, reference this video when you are at a point where you need to make those decisions and you need to work through the thought process of it. This is what I do. Okay. This is how I process through making certain decisions in my business, and like stepping into decisions of discomfort intentionally so I can truly experience the abundance that God has for me. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Hawk Hustle Morning Show. I will be here weekdays, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the rest of the month of March. So feel free to tune in, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great day, y'all.